Hi everyone, myself Dr. Lakshmi Prasad, working as an associate professor in the Department of Data Science in Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. In this video, I am going to discuss about the statistics. So, the statistics should be able to refer the quantitative data, and this statistics should be the science of counting, which was invented by Dr. A.L. Bowley. And this statistic should be nothing but a collection on presentation and analysis and interpretation of numerical data, right? So the data what we have, so it may be able to come from different sources, uh, like a primary source and secondary source. And this data again for that divided into two categories, like qualitative data and quantitative data. So like this, the data is going to be divided into two types. So mainly this statistics is going to be applied for quantitative data, and normally this statistics is nothing but the science of counting. So according to AI body, and so the statistics is nothing but it may be a collection, on it may be a presentation, analysis, and interpretation of numerical data. So there will be different types of statistics, like descriptive statistics, parametric statistics, and non-parametric statistics. So these things we'll going to see one by one. And what are the various measures of statistics normally? So normally the data with one variable considered as a univariate, and so the measures of central tendency, the numbers which is going to be described the middle of the data, and mean average. So that means that so adding up of numbers and then divided by how many are there. So that should be the mean, or you can able to call it as average. And median, so have to be put the numbers in the numerical order and find that one in the middle. So if there is an even number, so average the two middle numbers. And mode means a number that occurs more frequently will be considered as the mode here. Okay, so some of the measures of the statistics will be mean. So mean is nothing but an average. So how we're going to calculate the mean here is, so we have to sum of the numbers, and then which is going to be divided by how many numbers or there, that should be the mean. So let's try the example like uh, 20, 30, like, so suppose how we're going to calculate the mean means sum of all these numbers. So 36, 90, 100, 150, and how many numbers are there? So 6. So that should be 2.5. So this should be the mean of this, like can able to calculate this. And median means the middle number, in middle of that number, which is going to be considered as the median of the series. And mode means the number which is going to be repeated more frequently. That means that if I'm going to consider like this, so the mode should be the 30 here, like this. So which is number is going to be repeated more number of times, so that should be considered as the mode here. So let's take an example here. So I'm taking the values like 10, 14, 15, 16, 20, 10, 11, like this, and how I'm going to calculate the mean. So sum of all this I'm added, so I'm getting the value. And this number is going to be divided by how many numbers are there? That should be around 11. So that should be divided by 11, and this should be the mean of that. So similarly, finding the mean, so put that all numbers in the order, like ascending in the order, and what should be the median in middle of this? That should be 15 here. That should be the median. And more, which number is going to be repeated more number of times? That should be considered as a more here. So for that, suppose if I'm going to take 10, so 10 is repeated 3 times, 11 is 1 time, 14 is 1 time, 15 2 times, 16 1, 19, 1 and 20 is 2 times. So the 10 is repeated more number of times, so the more should be the 3 here. 10 should be here. So there are many times when we are going to measure the central tendency, it will be better by describing the data. So for that we have mean here. So when the data is going to be spread out and you want to an average of all the values, and median means so when the data contain outliers. So normally outliers is the value so that can't fit with the rest of the data. And mode should be when the data is tightly clustered around one or two values. That should be the mode here. So there are many times when measures of central tendency will better describe the data. So mean means so when the data is going to be spread out and you want an average of all the values, and median so when the data contain outliers, so outliers are the value that does not fit with the rest of the data, and mode means when the data is tightly clustered around one or two values. So what are the characteristics of data normally? So when it comes to this, the statistics should be the aggregates of facts, and the statistics are numerically expressed, and the statistics is going to be effectively marked extent by multiplicity of the causes, and reasonable standards of accuracy in enumeration, estimation or collection, and the statistics are going to be collected in a systematic manner, and the statistics are going to be collected for predefined purpose. So the statistics are nothing but aggregate of facts and should be numerically expressed, and it should be affected to the market extent by multiplicity of the cases, and so reasonably these standards of accuracy should be in enumeration, estimation and collection, and the statistics are going to be collected in systematic manner, and these statistics are going to be collected for predefined purpose. So these are the some of the characteristics of this statistics. And so mainly you can able to go for the statistics mainly for the collection of the data, the classification of data, and then presentation of data, analysis and interpretation of data. So how the data is going to be collected and how the data is going to be classified into different categories, then how we're going to be present that, and how we're going to be make analysis of that, and finally how we're going to be interpret. So these are the things you have to be know for the characteristics of that. Subject matter of the characteristics when come here. So here we can able to use the statistical method, and applied statistics means we are able to see descriptive and then scientific. So normally you are going to see the statistical methods like mean, median, and mode like this. Then applied statistics will be descriptive and scientific one. So these are the other two categories of that. So if I'm going to consider the science and art, so the science and art also this statistics play important role. So it should be a systemized body of the knowledge, and it should be also the rules and applications that are should be universal, and it should also be established the cause and the effect, and it should also helpful in effective forecasting, and its method in the order or maybe in the serial wise, and the larger degree of skills and experience and effective decision making. Okay, so these are the burdens of the statistics when we are going to consider the science and art. So it should be a systemized body of the knowledge, and it has some rules and application that should be universal, and also establish the relation between the cause and the effect, and it should also helpful in effective forecasting. Its method should also be used in the order and serial wise, and the large degree of skills and experience also will be needed for that, and effective decision making should also be considered here. So, what should be the scope and importance of the statistics here is that so the statistics are going to be used by bankers, and it also be used by many insurance companies, and it should also be used in railways and other transportation agencies. And these statistics can also be used in businesses, economics, and planning. So they like this. The statistics play in many important roles in variety of applications. So where the statistics are going to be used by the bankers for maintaining the accounts and calculations of funds and all, right? And many of the insurance companies also going to be use these statistics, and should also be used by some other transport agencies also. And the statistics can also be used in business applications, and many of the economics and then planning also be used. So like this, these statistics play an important role here. And what are the functions of the statistics? Only this one is presentation of the facts, and then simplification of complexities, and it should also facilitate the comparisons and facilitate the formulation of policies and widening of human knowledge. And it should also be used in testing the laws of other sciences, and it should also be facilitates the forecasting, and should also be maintain a relation or correlation between the two facts. So like this, these are some of the functions of the statistics here. So where this can able to use the presentation of facts and then simplification of complexities, and we should also be make use of comparisons, and should also make use of formulation of policies and widening of human knowledge, and it should also be used in testing the laws of other sciences, and should also facilitate the forecasting and also make the establishment of correlation between the two facts. And next one, what are the limitations of that? Statistics means, so the statistics does not study an individual. So well educated peoples can also know the statistics importance and how we're going to apply that. So the statistics cannot be studied by normal individuals, and the statistics able to deal with the quantitative facts. So that is the one of the limitation that. And the statistics should also be true only to its averages, and it should also may lead to the fallacious conclusion, and only the experts can make use of the statistics, and homogeneity and uniformity should be must. Okay, so these are some of the limitations of the statistics, where the statistics does not study by the individual, so only the experts can able to make use of the statistics. And the statistics should also deals with the quantitative facts, and it should be true only if averages, and should also may lead to fallacious conclusion. Homogeneity and uniformity should also be must. So let's take an example then how we're going to be applying the statistics. A new company has three employees, which are going to be paid around 3 lakhs dollars, and who are paid some 1 lakh dollars, and 60 who are paid $50,000. So, which measures of central tendency best represents the pay at this company? So the medians means there are only few employees so who make a large amount of money, and these are the outliers, and the mode will be the vast majority of employees make the same amount of money. So the company is going to have at employees in which are going to be paid. Three members are going to be paid by 3 lakhs dollars, and 10 are going to be paid by 1 lakh dollars, and 60 are going to be paid by $50,000. So in this, we have to be find out the median mode, and how we're going to do that. So normally, how these measures are going to be associated. for this variance. So normally a numerical value is going to be associated with how we are going to split out the data. So for that we need a range. So in between the largest and smallest value, there should be one number. And how the variance is going to be calculated, and then standard deviation. So normally the standard deviation represented by a symbol sigma, and then variance is going to be represented by sigma square. So for that, the sigma, the standard deviation is going to be calculated with this, the equation like inch of first value, that is x1 minus mean value whole square plus x2 minus, that should be second value, minus mean whole square, and that should be divided by n. This should be the equation you have to be remembered for finding the variance, like sorry, when finding the standard deviation. So apart from that mean, median and mode, so the variance should also be important here. So for that we are going to have an equation like this. For that we need some initial values, and then mean values are to be obtained, and then n should be the range, so that one should be known for finding the variance and then standard deviation. So for finding the variance and standard deviation, uh, so for variance, so what have to mean? So have to first find the mean, and then the difference between the data and exact value on the mean, square of that each difference, add them up, and then divide by the number of data values. So if we are going to apply the square root of standard deviation, then we can able to get the standard deviation. Suppose initially you have values like 3, 5, 7, 9 and 11. So for that first find the range. So that means largest value minus smallest value, and this should be the range value. For finding the standard deviation, for first find the variance here. So already I told the right, so standard deviation and then variance, how it should be that. So based on this equation, how to find it out? And mean first calculate this. So 3 plus 5 plus 7 plus 9 plus 1, so that you can able to obtain the mean. And from each value, so let it be uh, 3 minus 7 whole square, that should be the mean value, and 5 minus 7 whole square, 7 minus mean, so the mean value is 7, right? So apply this and can able to get the value. So for that variance, you have to divide it by the number of value, that should be n and equal to 5, so that you can able to get the variance. And then for standard deviation, what I have to do, so what are the value for the variance I'm coming, that should be applied the square root of that, so that you can able to get the standard deviation. Okay, so for finding out the standard deviation, so first we have to find the variance. So for this variance, again we have to calculate the mean, so and apply the formula what I said previously, that is x1 minus x bar whole square plus x2 minus x bar whole square, and so on. And for this we have to apply this square root and should be divided by n. So this should be the variance. And standard deviation, that is standard deviation, how to apply the square root of this, then you can able to get the standard deviation, x bar and so on, that should be divided by n. So like this we are going to be calculate the mean and then variance of this distribution. Okay, so in this video I'm going to cover some of the basics of the statistics, and how what are the measures and what are the variance of the statistics I covered here. So normally the statistics is going to be applied mainly for the quantitative data, and normally the statistics is going to be used for the collection, presentation, analysis and interpretation of numerical data. So there will be of three different types of statistics, like descriptive, parametric and non-parametric statistics. So for some of the measures of the statistics will be the mean and median and mode. So these three are very basic things for the implementing the statistics. So once you know this, how we're going to calculate this mean, median, and mode. So mean means we have to be adding up of all the numbers and divided by the total number of numbers. So for finding the mean, so we have to be arrange all the numbers in ascending order, and considering the middle of that order will be treated as the median. And finding the mode means what is the number that is occurring more number of times, that should be considered as the mode here. And measuring of statistics, apart from the mean, median, and mode, we are going to have some variance and standard deviation as well. So for that, already I told what are the main characteristics of statistics means. So mainly the statistics are going to be used for aggregations of facts and for numerically expressed, and which is also going to be collected in a systematic manner, and what are the values are collected that should be used for predetermined purpose. And mainly these statistics will be for collecting the data, classification, presentation, analysis, and interpretation. When it comes to the subject matter of this, so we need a statistical method and applied statistics. Again, this applied statistics is further divided into descriptive and then scientific one. So, and this statistics should also be used in science and art applications. And the importance of statistics, like where we can able to use mainly by the bankers and insurance companies and railways and other transportation agencies, and still it is also going to be used by business, economics, and planning also. So some of the functions of the statistics means mainly are going to be used for presentation of facts, and then simplification of complexities, facilitating comparisons, and it should also be useful in testing of other sciences, and also be facilitating of forecasting, and also make use of establishment of correlation between the facts. So mainly some of the limitations, what I said here is the statistics is not going to be used by them or studied by a normal individuals. Only the expert people can only make use of the statistics, and the statistics will also be true, and then should also may lead to false conclusion. So this is the example I discussed. And so for finding the measures of variance, so we have to be know the mean values and the range value. And for the finding those standard deviations, so first we have to find the mean and obtain the difference here, apply the square root, and then adding them up of all the things, and then we should be divided by the total number of values. So for finding the standard deviation, so we have to simply apply the square root of the variance. And so this is the example how we're going to calculate that mean and variance.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.